Right? And I'm not playing no games. Yeah.
Congratulations, everyone. I should have done the Pops special that Chris Persia made me, but I don't know. I hadn't done the Eric July for a minute, so I thought I'd throw that out there. What a great night to be able to have Ego with me. We are going to have a fun night, fun talk tonight. My brother, thank you so much for working this out, getting it on your schedule. We're all juggling life, but man, big fan, as you know. I'm always catching the Cape show. Love what you do, brother, and it's great to be able to hang out with you, man.
Thank you so much. Hey everyone, you got Left Eye Ego. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. It's gonna be a great night. I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna steal. I know Ironcaster had put a comment in. We're gonna steal from his brand a little bit here about, like, stopping the hate and showing some love. And it's like, look, you guys know I will hate watch the heck out of just about it, and for the right price. I mean, there was a joke, Ego, when I was doing like another show. They were going to try to raise $200 with my price tag to do a live reaction for Cats. Fortunately, they didn't raise that much money, and I got out of it. Oh, they would do this to me all the time. They were trying to raise money for me. There was actually an online test that I qualified for. I have no idea how I qualified for. I answered honestly. I will not lie. To actually be an Australia COVID center, like basically a police officer, like a civilian police officer, to monitor people.
Wow.
But you could register online to do this. And I passed the preliminary questionnaire, even though I live in a completely different continent on the other side of the world. And they were like, okay. And I said, how much? Like, you guys have to do this. It takes me too long, guys. You're gonna have to raise some money to make this worth my time. Fortunately, Mrs. Pops was freaking out, like, dude, you cannot do that. You're gonna go to jail for fraud or something. I said, dude, oh, come on, honey. I'm in another continent. Nobody cares. Like, so yeah, I'm that guy that will do crazy, but we also have to have the healthy food too, right, bro? I mean, we can't.
Agreed.
We can talk for 3 hours about how bad Velma is, but it's not good for the soul. We got to have something that cleanses the palate. So,
agreed.
We talked off air. We have a little list going, that kind of thing. You guys in chat, you guys got to throw it out there. Let us know where you want to drive the ship. Talk about some things that you're enjoying, so we can kind of talk about that as well. Chris Persia, there he is. The God Moat. The mod is he's the best, man. He's the best, man. Chris Persia, a member, supporter of mine. I love you, Chris. Thanks you so much. And of course, my brother from across the country there, Joker Voice. Oh, he's so good. So just an awesome channel, folks. Hashtag keep talking, my brother. Look at Chris throwing out the member emojis. The best part about the emojis is you get to add more emojis. Like, the best part of getting members is like keep adding more. So yes, Ash doing groovy, which I drove my wife crazy the other night because we were doing a puzzle. I've turned her on to puzzles, Ego. She doesn't puzzle. I'm the puzzler. And I would do puzzles, but then I just started messing with her. So I would find like the crazy ones, and I'd just go groovy over and over and over. And finally, she just stops and looks at me, and I'm like, okay, I'll do something else now. So yes, how my brain works. I don't know. Do you?
No, part of the fun of being married is annoying your spouse in the little itty bitty ways. It's so much fun. But yeah, I definitely do it with my wife too.
Yeah, she has a system with doing a puzzle, so she has to do the outer edge. But I said, well, how about when we take them apart, we take the outer edge and put them in a baggie, just so it speeds along the initial step. I'm not saying we put it together. I'm just saying, like, for next time, just put them in a baggie. She's like, no, we have to have the whole experience. I'm like, she will find pieces that are stuck together, and she'll take them apart and throw them back in. I mean, it's fine. It's the meeting of the OCDs and the AD. Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's fun that we've been able to find some sort of common ground on doing these together, because she's not been that way. So, Chris Persia is antagonizing Joker, and the Mud Baby lawsuit may be in the works. Yeah. So, let's see here, folks. So, Cannoli Sasquatch. Hey, brother. The big C is in the house. Dude. And by the way, speaking of Cannoli Sasquatch, and this guy right here, we're going to be doing a sports night soon. We're going to throw down with the Cowboy fan, the Giant fan, and me, who's had a ugly divorce from the NFL for the last couple of years. I'm the kind of the online statistician. My son is always amazed that I'll know what's going on. I'm like, I have not watched a minute of the NFL in years, and yet I can tell you pretty much what's going on. So,
That's
and
fair.
Jacob Ironside, this is literally like the rock star chat of creators tonight, especially the up and comers like Jacob. Joker, technically, you're still an up and comer, bro. I don't look at it that way. You've been doing this over a year now. But Canoli's channel, obviously, Ego. I'm so blessed that you guys. This is awesome. So, I know Joker voice. I got it from this crazy guy. Hashtag keep talking. Look at that merch. From what I understand, there is a fundraiser right now. You can go over to Joker's channel and you can get that over there at Mixed Teeth. Get your own shirt. So,
all right,
rocking and rolling. Were you going to be the warden at the center? Is that what they call them? It was something like that. It was worded like at these centers you would have to police people or something, and it was like an application process. And they were like, you could pass that. You could BS your because I have like a diplomacy ability. I'm like the person sent in for the problem solving. Right. My wife's lost the receipt, or I have run it through the wash, and you have to do a return. I'm the one that goes, because they won't give me any grief. I'll talk my way through it. Yeah,
there's got to be one. There's got to be one in the group that does that.
I'm the guy. I'm the guy that you want as the reference for the job. Like I'm that guy who can. I'm the guy that could help you look at your resume and go, "Yeah, we need to do this, this, and this." I'm that guy. Yeah. So
I got
you. Ninja from across the pond, James, my brother. I have your comic book to read today, and then crap at work messed up my whole day, and I still not done this review. I've literally had this comic book now for months, and
what's this comic book?
Oh, it's fantastic! The art is amazing. James, let's see. Okay, we'd have to go over to James to get the link.
That's fine. I'm trying to get into my Amazon right now.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. I got my search engine pulled up there. So it's a great. It's really a fun story because they ended up meeting at a meetup. I believe it was Vegas, and that was where you had the together of the writer and the artist. James in Japan and Tom is here in the States. It's good to get the chance to meet them. They blessed me with a copy of their book, and I have still been horrible at actually doing an official review. So I threw the link out there. Hopefully it'll populate. I'm having all sorts of StreamYard problems, guys. So bear with me if things aren't working quite right. I don't know that we can get them through the Indiegogo still. Let's see. It looks like it's still
up there, I think. Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Be in demand. That's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's sort of like it reminded me of sort of like the Western concepts with like the almost like the DC Ronin, like not like the Japanese Ronin, but like the Frank Miller one or something like that. Just definitely that kind of stuff. Some swordplay, Western stuff. Yeah, liked it. Love the style. So,
I'm in.
Joker Voice is throwing out the menu. So yeah, we're gonna have more like a love, like what are you chewing on that you're enjoying, that kind of thing. Roman, love you, bro. Also another great show, another great streamer. Always doing great shows. I will be on with him doing comic books again in a few weeks. It's hard to balance my nights, man, so I can't do every Thursday night with him. But he has great topics, great panels over with his group. So, all right, I've got to take a pause just to kind of get to actual content here. We'll just get in chat forever. So, all right, so Ego, the first thing we just connected over, and I was like, okay, he loves it like I do. Let's talk about it, and that would be Tulsa King. Oh my gosh, man!
Yes.
Oh, Tulsa King.
Yes.
So what was your first impression? Because I want to hear what your thoughts were when you first heard, hey, the Tulsa King is a mafia show with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, so the thing was that Shiro, my wife's her best friend, her husband loves mobster movies. And so he tried to get me in Sopranos, but I couldn't really get into it. And so I told him a few months later, I was like, hey, there's a show called Tulsa King coming out. What do you think? He's like, hey, I heard it's actually going to be pretty good. You should watch it. So the backstory on me is I actually went to undergrad in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So if you know the statue that looks like this, you know where I went to undergrad, right? And so me being from there, I'm like, where are you going to show this and what are you going to show? Because Tulsa is very distinct and you know where these places are. So when I watched the first episode of how he stepped off the plane, that really is the Tulsa airport. It really is. You're just like, wait, this is it? You walk out and then everyone, wherever the flight lands, whatever gate, you all leave through the same exit. And so you're just like, oh, this is it. This is it. And so the lady spraying him with the holy water at the beginning was a little bit over the top. But if you've been to Tulsa, it really is like that. So the places that they film, the center of the universe, the hotel where he stays, and all the shots are pretty much Tulsa. It's a little bit outside of the city because I think that they have to figure ways around it because of where the undergrad I went to is so prominent there. I don't know how they're going to get to do any more seasons without at least somewhat mentioning it. But, as far as the shots, that really is Tulsa. And so the acting is phenomenal. It's really inspiring that even though Sylvester Stallone's 75, 76, he can still take a show that you wouldn't expect a lot from and really give it his all. I didn't know how he was going to do after Creed 2. And I didn't know if this was kind of like the backup and he was kind of phoned it in, but he did a really good job. A lot of the characters are believable, and it's not like a movie where I'm creating an alliance or I'm creating a team. He's just, oh, you're good at this. How do you do that? Okay, you should join me. Hey, you're in the cannabis? That could work. You should join me. Or, hey, you run a bar, you're actually a roughneck, you should join with me. And everyone in the show has a choice to choose him or to choose to be on his team or leave him alone. And so, watching it throughout the season, I actually really got hooked, and I was surprised at how fast I got hooked. So my Shiro and I, we watched the season finale last night, and we're already like, wow, when is season 2 coming out? I went all over the place with that, but
you're right. And it was so exciting to know there's already a season 2. Like thank goodness. Like it's not like it was announced pretty early on. So about episode 5 or so, we had a confirmation there was going to be a season 2. I saw episode 1. I was blowing up the boys. I was telling Loki, I said it could be Sopranos. And then I have to admit, episode 2, 3, and 4, it slows down a lot and it become very Dwight centric. I did an episode, pretty much a review on almost every single episode. I think that one of them I had to combine 2, but I was a little concerned that there wasn't world building for a couple episodes. It was pretty Dwight centric. Yeah. But then exponentially, it starts like it's like the snowball going down the mountain. And by the time you get to the end, you almost feel cheated because there's just so much happening. You almost can't take it all in. Like, holy cow, like what? Yes. And then, unlike any shows, unlike all of these spoon feed endings, they drive you right to the curb and they go, oh, by the way, that's not what we're going to do here. We're going to do something completely different and we're not going to explain it. And now you're going to want season 2 even more. And you're probably going to need to watch season 1 again before it starts because the shock factor of it.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. And the thing is, it didn't make it to where they had to make a lot of outsiders come in to build up Tulsa. It was like, no. That person's here. They've been here, and you're moving into what they're doing. So how are you with the biker gang? Like that was actually a really good touch. I didn't want to hear about, oh, we're battling for Tulsa as if Tulsa's some hot commodity. It is the commodity in Tulsa, but the people that are already there have a racket of what's already going on. So Dwight's actually trying to get into what's already going on and then having to fight off people that are already in the same thing. So, for me, I like the fact that they didn't choose it as like a dead city, even though that's why he was sent there. But
But it wasn't as though it was a bunch of New Yorkers coming in and setting up shop. It was just him. And it was done well because of the uncertainty. To me, I was hooked because I was like, okay, they didn't do what you said. He goes to New York. You feel like he could be killed. I mean, they said, he's not, but you actually felt tension, right? And he breaks all of the golden rules. Like he punches another made dude right in the face. Like in reality, he should be dead.
Yes.
But then you feel like, well, with new rules, because they've all admitted, like they obviously, for those of you who are not into mafia stuff, because Joker says he's not into mafia stuff. Fair enough, right?
Understood.
The mafia people tell you when they saw Godfather, they started dressing and acting that way. Like when Goodfellas came along, you start to see transgressions of Henry Hill and different things. You start to know with Donnie Brasco, and it changes things. Like these are real life accounts that have been adapted. The books are amazing, by the way. If you're into the mafia genre, I'm telling you, find the books down a rabbit hole. And I have to admit, Joker, it is sort of like a set of like cliches and different things like that. But the sad part is, or maybe the cool part is, it's all rooted in reality. That some of this stuff is not.
Yeah.
The line between fiction and reality is very
Man.
small at times.
Yeah. Yeah.
He also plays a character that is 75. Right. I thought that was very smart. They weren't going to try to play it up like he was like 60 something or let's talk about the secondary characters real quick before we move on to another one, because I loved every character, and the only complaint I'd have with the show is I didn't get more of them. Like, I would have loved to see a little bit more of Tyson beyond just the scope of the dad relationship.
Well,
Bodhi
I mean, so
lives in this freaking mansion almost, and I'm like, how did we went from like the podcast, running the store to this, like, come to my house? I thought they were in Dwight's house, and like Bodhi lives in this freaking, like, they don't even talk about it. No one even mentioned, hey dude, how did you? Isn't it a little on the nose for you to live in this where no one's gonna ask a question where you got all this money? Like, no. I mean,
he's actually the funniest character, and it's like, it's unintentionally funny. It's just like he's not upset and he's not depressed. He's just like, I was doing fine and you're messing everything up with my life, but I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
he would be like me. He would be me. I would be ticked off that I'm stuck now with the mafia guy, and I know what that means. And I would walk in the room going, I want you to know how mad I am. The feds just they tore my business all to heck. My wife is ticked off. Everyone's mad at me, and it's because of you. And what are you going to do about it? He's like, oh, by the way, I've got your back. And it's such a great twist that he knows, because it is.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. It is cliche, but these mob guys, they are always one step ahead for the most part. Like, it really is one of those things. Like, the police will get them eventually because they never stop. But reality. So
that's what I mean. That's what I appreciate about it too, is the fact that in all the other mobster movies, you're waiting for the guy to flip on the mafia, and he's like, well, no, I didn't do that. I just wanted, give me compensate me for the 25 years. And they're like, Tulsa. And he's like, this is ridiculous. I'll go there because that's where you're saying things are. And it's like, well, hey, there's a loyalty to a fault. And they're like, what happens when you have been loyal the entire time and now you're out and you're expecting to get paid for the loyalty, and it's kind of being paid and kind of not. But as far as what is his name? Tyson. I think what they might do is, I think they're gonna wait to expand his character more based on a relationship with his father, because I actually like that the guy that plays his father is a great actor to me, and he plays a great father figure. I think what they might do is save it for season 2 and to see if the relationship is strained. They'll probably talk about Black Wall Street. Like, have you heard about Black Wall Street? Or
oh yeah.
So I think that's
fortunately we had to have the horrible Watchmen show introduce that to most Americans, and then now the politics have brought us Juneteenth, and people have clawed onto this as though it's this long time thing, and half of them are completely wrong about how history went down, and it makes my head hurt as coming from someone, and I'm sure it does you, because you're even more into that, like the intricacies of history and things like that.
The whole thing is, I didn't even know about it until like I was a junior in college, and I was in Tulsa, and they were saying, hey, these are topics, and I said, what is this topic? And I read it, I'm like, oh my god. Then I read the book on it too. And so I think that's going to be their way of talking about it, because it's a big part of Tulsa's history. So I think they're going to save it to like expand Tyson's character a bit more with his father by using Black Wall Street. Maybe they'll say, hey, your grandfather was...
That's the kind of stuff that can get them woke points, right? They can come across as getting woke points, even if it's not... It doesn't have to be. Like, trust me.
No.
Dwight, by the way, if any of you lean like maybe conservative / just grouchy old guy at the intolerance of younger generations, you will live vicariously through Dwight so many times in this show. The humor is like the unintentional humor that most of Hollywood tries to be. It is such a great show. So, well, that'll be our clip. Season 2 is coming. Couldn't be more excited. This is another home run for Paramount. One of the best shows of the year. So, I'll transition Joker only because Ego didn't get a chance yet. I am ticked off, Ego.
What is it about?
So, okay, it is extremely nuanced film, dialogue driven. It is it starts off with like a couple, and he's a foodie. He's really like he's not into sports and comic books like me or whatever. He's into food and like this thing. And he's got this hot date, and they're gonna go on this like a boat ride to this island where this remote chef. So imagine what's his name? Gordon Ramsay. Imagine a Gordon Ramsay has this remote island, and everyone has to pay this exorbitant amount of money to go have this special dinner. It's only 12 people, and that's what's happening. Now, the tension grows very slowly and very carefully. So it's not a film that you can kind of like halfway watch. It's dialogue driven. It's very response driven. Like if you don't see how the little maitre d' is responding, you're going to miss some of the little nuances that they're trying to set up. And the key is that the chef has kind of manipulated the guest list to get a certain group of people together for this meal. And the meal is set up in courses, and the courses have messages and symbolism that is setting up this incredible twist and turns and how things are navigating. It is, and what makes this interesting, because the only complaints that I've heard about it are people who talk about how shallow or cliched the characters are. But what sets this film apart from other things that don't work, in my opinion, is the chef wanted them there. They're there because they're cliches. So, for instance, John Leguizamo plays a crappy actor, but he's there, and he is a cliche. He's a moron, terrible human being actor. But he's not there just because he just happened to be in the room that day. The chef wanted him there, and it goes by fast. So if you left the room to go to the can and you came back, you'd miss the chef telling you why this guy needs to be there. And that's what makes it smart. And without spoiling the film, I thought this was like an artsy foodie film. And then I saw some of the details on it, and I'm like, wait a minute. And then it popped up, and I watched it. I was like, okay, holy crap, this is a well-written script. There's no time wasted. I love everything is great. Now, this film got a lot of attention in some of the awards up until this point. Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Fiennes, original screenplay. And on Oscar night on Tuesday, it got bupkis.
Really?
Nothing. I could not believe it. So, yeah. Still treated as a strong recommend. Joker Voice is with me. I basically almost like begged him into watching it. I'm like, please, if I'm wrong, he'll tell me. Like, he's one of those, like, we're kind of cut from the same cloth. Our differences is nuance. Our differences are like degrees of things. It's pretty rare. One of us loves something and the other one's like, you're out of your freaking mind. It would be extremely rare. We're more like, well, I didn't like this as much as you did or whatever. So when he saw it and liked it too, I'm like, okay, at least I'm not crazy, because it is kind of not everyone likes dialogue driven film. Right? I know you're going to love this film.
I love it.
We'll never get AJ to watch it. Don't even.
No, he will not.
You and Mrs. Nico will have a good time if she likes dialogue-driven film too. He will never. It's not even worth talking about with him. It's not even worth talking about. And you can let him know that I said that. Like when you're praising it on the show, you'll be like. And by the way, Pops knows you won't watch it. It's okay. I'm just letting the people in chat know it's good. Not for you, AJ. You go watch Lion King again. Don't worry about it.
Agreed. All right.
I'm surprised he's not here, so we could spin him up, turn him up. So yeah, that's definitely one of those. You guys in chat, so many of you coming in and out. Sorry if I don't get to you fast enough. I know people have tons of other shows, things like that. I saw Zax is here. Hey to you, my brother. All sorts of different things going on. Chris Persia was calling out Ego because he's a Cowboys fan. So yeah, we're gonna do a little Super Bowl show. That is on, I believe, February the 9th. Canoli and Ego will be on with me. We're going to talk about Super Bowl, talk about sports movies, talk about that kind of stuff. And so it'll be kind of fun. So we did get put the link there for James Harris's, that's Ginger Ninja's comic book with Tongue. And I have interviews with both of them. Gave you samples. If you go to the Indiegogo, you'll see samples of the art. It's extraordinary really nice stuff. So Roman's kicking Ego out of the club. We got it. I understand.
It was the first season. Maybe they told me it gets better. It's just it was things were happening. It was slow. I know it's trying to build.
Well, and the problem is with today, right? We're doing 8, 10, 13 episode seasons, and back then we had a much slower burn with things. And what Sopranos was doing was going very slow to build 30 characters, because the family matters the most, and they'll bring in characters that are only going to be around for so long before they get whacked. I mean, it was just, there are purpose of characters, which was really kind of nuanced for its time, really, to be honest. It was like, we're going to bring in this actor. You think he's somebody. No, he's going to get it.
No.
It was like, okay, that's not how things work, right?
So they started that. Like, people coming in, you think they're going to last 3 or 4 seasons, they only go 3 or 4 episodes. That was them that started that process.
Something like that. I wouldn't say started it, but yeah, it's sort of like that premise. So as far as I know, Hitchcock started this with Psycho, because Janet Leigh obviously is all over the poster, monster star. And he locked the doors. If you've never heard this or not, when you go see this in the theater, you couldn't go in late. So everyone hated him on this. I mean, the critics bashed Psycho. They gave it like 2 stars, right?
Really?
And it was mostly just because of revenge. They can't stand being told what to do. Right? They can't stand it. He fought with everybody in Hollywood. I know he's weird.
I heard the stories.
He's like, no, that's not how. I mean, it was just different. We have people that are just not right. They're just different. The guy that owns Twitter, the guy that owns Amazon, they're just not with us. They're in different places. It's not our job to try to figure them out. So
I got you.
I think I got most people hello before StreamYard's chat thing jumped again. Oh yeah, we mentioned the Watchmen show. Absolute dog crap. I felt so betrayed by that show. Oh my God, it's so awful. Roman, I'm with you, bro. Look at me. Yeah. Keely Chow's in the house. There's another sports fan for us. Hey there, bro. Hope you're doing all right. Menu was very good. See, Zach's another one. Zach's another one of those brothers from the same cloth. Like, we have a very similar, and Zach's kind of got the nuance of Menu to explain it better to people than I did. I got too gung-ho, I think. Maybe oversold it, but yeah.
No, that's fine. Like you said, when you said dialogue driven, I'll take it.
Yeah. AJ's a nuanced special case. It's okay. It's all right. We don't hold it against him too much. We love him too much to hold it against. So, Bobby. First off, hey Bobby, one of my best supporters, man. I love this guy. So, by the way, oh man, I saw Psycho and I thought I was going to be ill. The colored version with Vince Vaughn, because I love the original. The original was like a life-changing thing for me, being a film. So that when this colorized one came out, I felt nauseous. I actually think I felt ill. Like, what are they doing? The only reason that most people even went to see Psycho was because it was the first trailer for Phantom Menace. So it was the first chance we had to see Star Wars content in like almost 15 years or whatever it was. Yeah, it was crazy.
Okay. It was the first movie I ever saw Vince Vaughn in, because like me and my brothers with my mom used to watch the Mark Harmon versions of them. I don't know if you remember those. They were like on Lifetime or something like that. It was like Norman Bates, like after his mom died as an adult, and he had like 3 or 4 different movies. I don't know if you saw that. Like, the last one was like he's talking to like a radio host or a counselor, and he's like reliving different experiences he's had as he's a teenager and a child. But so it was before Harmon he did before I know Anthony Perkins did.
Okay, I don't. Okay, I know Psycho 2 and some of the others were like this. Like, they had these like weird spins on things. I wonder if they had a different type of adaptation for it or something.
I'm trying to figure out which one it was, but it was like, they would show what he was like as a child and like as a teenager, and it was after the black and white Hitchcock ones. So yeah, that was my first introduction to Norman Bates. So like when Vince Vaughn came out, I was like, I thought he's supposed to be funny. Like, nothing's funny happening. I was like, why is he wearing a wig?
If they were trying to make they basically just did a color shot by shot, and then they just butchered things that should have mattered. So Ironcaster is throwing out love for the Hercules show. Kevin Sorbo's campiness is on there. It's on Tubi, I believe. So yeah, he's a big promoter of Tubi. He needs to be, anyone out there, Tubi ever hints any of our videos, make sure you call Ironcaster and sponsor him, because he's definitely your biggest fan. So yeah. Okay. So, okay. James is calling the shots right there. Yeah, I'm with you, man. We're the same age, pretty much. So yeah, we came up. We grew up with swingers, and I remember thinking, what am I going to go see? What are we doing? What is this? Because it's not a genre film, and then we had such a great time watching it. Like, it's such a great silly film. So, Okay, so throw out something else where you're like, I'm really enjoying this or that, a movie that you like, show that you're loving. Give us something to go on that you've enjoyed.
So, all right, so I can break it down by either movie or TV show. So
Mhm.
TV show that my wife and I can't get enough of is two: Resident Alien and Evil. Two completely
Mm,
different genres. I don't
mhm.
know if you've heard of Resident Alien.
Mm-mm.
Oh, so you
I've only heard casually of both of them.
okay,
I've seen them. I know of them, but I've not
okay.
watched any of them yet.
So I know that if we're going with Resident Alien, my wife can't stand sci-fi. Like the minute she sees capes, laser beams, or someone beaming down, she's like, "I'm out automatically." She just leaves me alone. So I told her, I said, "Hey, this is about an alien that's supposed to come to Earth to destroy it," and so he winds up taking on a human form. But the thing is, the body that he takes over was a doctor in a small town, and it's a small town in Colorado. And I think they got the name from what is it, South Park. And so he's a town doctor, but doesn't know anything about being a doctor. So he's giving a pap. At one point, he's trying to give a pap smear and doesn't know how to do it. So the lady's in the stirrup and he's under there, but he has his phone out trying to look up how to do a pap smear, and the camera goes off.
Oh
And she's
my
like, "Wait,
gosh!
what happened?" He's like, "Oh, selfie." And so it was the funniest thing ever. So it's Alan Tudyk, the guy that was a Pirate Steve in Dodgeball,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
the voice of Sonny in iRobot. So his facial expressions for supposedly being an alien are tip top and hilarious. And so while he actually takes on the form of a human, he doesn't know anything that's pop culture or how to interact with people. So he just watches a bunch of Law and Order for months until he understands how people interact. But he's not always socially on cue with things. So someone will say, "Well, who killed him?" He's like, "I don't know." Clung clung from Law and
Okay, okay. Don't spoil too much. Okay, so it's fun. Okay,
Oh yeah, it's good.
is it where is it on like the clean factor? How graphic does it get?
It's not. I mean, it's not really that graphic. It's graphic as if like an alien killed somebody. That's it.
Okay,
Like you
okay.
don't see a lot of blood and there's a lot of gore because he's mainly fighting with himself because he comes from a race that they're when you're given the task of like blowing up and decimating the earth. So they've done it like 5 or 6
Mm,
times already. And so he's just the latest in line to do it. And so he's really proud that he gets this chance to blow up the earth. But when he takes on the form of a human, you get all the things that come with being a human. So he's like, whereas his people are really cold and detached and really don't like everything, he finds himself, he's like, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel
mm,
that I need to have a connection with these people that I obviously do not like? I can't wait to blow up the earth. Oh, there's pie. This place is
hmm.
great.
Okay,
There's
gotcha.
pie.
Okay,
So
which
go ahead.
service is it on, or how do I find it?
Sci-Fi Channel. I get the Sci-Fi website. I think it might have been on maybe Peacock at one point.
Okay,
But
all right.
yeah, Peacock.
Yep.
Bobby Wall says Peacock. So
Okay,
it
thanks,
was really
Bobby.
it's really good. I mean, they talk about indigenous peoples, the concept of family, friendship, what's it like to have survivor's remorse, and your duty to your people as opposed to the duty to the family that you have around you. So it winds up touching on all these things from literally an alien point of view. And what is her name? She was Sarah Connor in Terminator. She's on that show. She's on the show too.
The
And
original
so
Linda Hamilton.
yes, she's on it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So they give
love
her a
Linda
pretty
Hamilton.
good role. So it actually, and it kind of it flips. I think in season 2, but it is really great.
Well,
I mean,
hey to
I
anonymous.
mean,
He so yeah. Once it goes a little bit woke, season one's good though. So okay,
yeah.
cool.
I mean, season 2, I kind of like. I was okay with season 2. I mean, it's because you're doing it. You wind up having all these intricate and characters, even the people they kind of spend a little bit of time on. You figure out why they are where they are and how it all relates back to the alien. I keep blanking on his name, but Alan
Well,
Tudyk is
chat.
hilarious.
The people in chat have watched it, so they'll help us out with some of those details.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sold enough to give it a shot, so
definitely.
I'm fair on that. And Zach is pointing out that Roman does have a great show coming up a little bit later on. There's a link for that. So yeah, we have no problem letting you guys know of other
Yeah.
great content that's there. So feel
Yeah.
free. Joker did ask if you had seen Swingers yourself. Vince Vaughn.
I think a long time ago, before I understood that kind of genre and that kind of humor.
Yeah.
I think maybe I was 16 or 17 when I saw it, and so I didn't understand it. So it's probably I probably have to have a list of movies I need to go back and watch now that I'm more adult than I was when I first watched it, and see if I have a different idea. I know Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn together has got to be a really good thing, because I think there was a movie where it was like The Marriage Retreat or something like that. I know he's like, you said not to panic. You said not to panic because there's a shark in the ocean. I saw that movie, so I know that they're funny together in that respect. So I should go back and watch Swingers to see if I can understand what was going on now.
Well, and again, Ironcaster's throwing out the sword and sandals love there with Xena and Hercules, which is like total OG fun. That's just it's got that element of camp still, yet also it's just pretty good. So
I was gonna say.
I want to say hey to Ruben Christopher Haynes. He's popped in here as well. I'm trying to figure out what Ruben is responding to because our conversations have been all over the map. Says, I know I'm different. I'm genuinely curious about ordinary people. I don't know if that's because of my puzzle conversation or what I was talking about at that point. But hey, listen, brother, I appreciate you. So, okay, yeah. So, and he's correcting me that Hercules is not on Tubi right now. It's Xena is there right now. So.
Okay.
All right. So, okay. So I wrote it down. I wrote down Evil as well. I've heard about Evil, so you don't have to sell me on that.
Yeah. I mean, do you understand have you heard about the concept of it?
Yeah, it definitely sounds interesting. I think I would enjoy it. Mrs. Pops is not going to give that a shot. She's just not. So, Resident Alien and Alan Tudyk, I could probably sell her on, but I can't sell her on the other one. I'll have to watch that one independently.
Yeah, but
did I say it right? Is it not Tudyk? Is it Tudyk or Tudyk?
I thought it was Tudyk. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it. I just sometimes just say Pirate Steve. That's
Pirate Steve is a great underrated actor. We should probably do one of these actor profiles on someone like Pirate Steve because he's also done like a lot of voice actor stuff too.
Yeah,
like I'm always just fascinated by that stuff.
He was the reason I actually watched the first season of Doom Patrol. Like his Mr. Nobody was great.
Yeah,
and reading the actual Grant Morrison run of the Doom Patrol, he's actually he's more of an actual like villain. Like they kind of glossed over him, but
you guys kill me, bro. You guys kill me. I listen. I got you, man. I got you. I had to correct someone. I try to be as polite as I can because it bothers me too if I say things wrong. So thank you for correcting me. But they're referring to one of the Indian movies, and it's called Bahubali. That was not what they were saying. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not calling them out. I'm not gonna put them on blast. They'll know who they are. Yeah. So cool. Very cool. Well, I appreciate that recommendation because
No problem.
Oh yeah, Joker Voice has pointed out that Doom Patrol and Titans are officially canceled.
I can see that.
I don't have a problem with it being canceled in the sense of they're going to do new directions. What I don't understand is why does James Gunn need to tweet about it? Like he's literally just like throwing gas on it. Well, we're just happy about these creators and blah blah. Okay, just shut your pie hole. Please. Just shut your pie hole. No one wants to hear from you right now until we know what you're doing in this big sales pitch. So you need to just shut your pie hole.
Just get to work. Yeah, we'll see it when it comes out.
Remember the time Pirate Steve was in that sci-fi series? Remember that time Pirate Steve was a redneck? Yeah, that's kind of how Pirate Steve is. Like it's just one of those pirates. No one knows his name is Alan Tudyk. Yeah, Alan was perfect as Mr. Nobody. Yeah, Alan's really an underrated actor. And again, it's like that J.K. Simmons thing. We did a J.K. Simmons like a bio type thing on Talk Hard, and I'm like, it's the same kind of thing. They have this resume. This keeps building and building and building, and you're like, holy cow, this is really, really good. Really, really good. So, okay. So I briefly mentioned an Indian cinema film. You also fell in love with RRR, Triple R to some. How did you go down that route? Who recommended it, or did you just wander into it one day?
AJ did. AJ was like, you have to see Triple R. And I was like, I don't know. It's just 3 hours. It's, I got hearing loss, so I have captions on all the time. But I was like, I don't know if I can read captions for 3 hours. So they said, hey, no, you should really watch it. It's technically what our movies should be like. So especially when you have buddy films. So I'm watching it, and it's, I'm like, I'll see. The opening scene really got me. I didn't know what was happening there, but when he's running away from the lion to catch the tiger. He's like, wow, this is awesome. So, I mean, as you keep watching it and you're trying to figure out where the paths align and you finally do, you're like, oh, this is actually a great movie. Especially the leg dance off of what I call it. You know,
yeah, not to, man. That's the song. That's the song that got him their only Oscar nod. Is the song? And
oh, that was awesome. My wife had to tell me to sit down because I tried doing it and almost kicked her. So
they even show. I showed my granddaughter, and I said he's going to show you how to do it, and it goes by in such a manner that you can't follow it, and you just look like a fool trying to figure it out, and you're going to hurt yourself or break something, and just went to blast. And I wanted it to be nominated, even if it doesn't win. Just I want to see them do this magical, Bollywood scale performance at the Oscar. I want to see them do it.
I was going to ask, do you think that they would actually bring them on, even if they didn't get nominated for anything else, to actually do the dance?
I don't know if the two actors will do the dance. There will be a dance representation of that, definitely, for sure. If the actors do it, it will prove what I said this last week was them not putting RRR in the best picture was the dumbest mistake they made, because it would have made a billion people watch the show.
Oh yeah, easy.
And if they had held not to until like late in the show, it also would have kept people watching, especially if they had leaked. And again, even if everybody knows they did it, if you leak that NTR and Ram Charan are going to do it, you have a billion people. I don't care if it's the haters in Bollywood. They're all going to want to see it for themselves.
Yes, exactly.
And your ratings will actually rebound. And Americans will discover, oh, crap, there's a whole bunch of films that are made by these people that are really, really good. And there's this old white guy that's balding that's been telling you about them. And this guy in Canada that's been telling you about them. And Chris Gore in California that's been, and Paulie in Los Angeles. Yes, we are all telling you these movies are great.
Watch it. Yeah. I mean, I guess in the time, I don't know. I know my father would certainly say it, but he would tell me about the triple threat. You had to be that, maybe before, I don't know, maybe the 90s or maybe even the 2000s. You had to be able to sing, dance, and act, so that if any one of those came up at any point, you could immediately jump into it and you were polished. You'd had practice and you could actually do that. And so I know that maybe over the last 15 or 20 years, unless you went through the Disney training or the Nickelodeon training, you could do one of those three, but not the other two. Or you could tell where they lacked or they fell short in the other two areas, which is why, when you get a Lady Gaga that can actually act on top of singing, you're like, wow, this is really great. So, when you watch Triple R, you're like, wow, these guys can act, and it's not forced and it's not dull. They can sing, and they can keep the beat with it, and they can actually dance. And so you're like, hey, this is what real talent looks like. The West, you need to step your game up, because they're doing that over there. And we didn't even put their movie in Best Picture. This is we just put their song up, and look what they can do. So, I mean, I actually would have liked for more movies to go kind of the musical route without kind of being a musical, if you get what I'm saying. They'd have a song in there where you do a dance. I know that in the 90s, they tried doing it with the Freddie Prinze Jr. remake. Oh God, she's all that. They were music playing, and then there'd be a group of people and they just do a dance, and that would be it. And you're like, oh, okay. I wish they could put that in more movies to at least highlight a secondary or tertiary skill that the actor would have. So I think Triple R kind of reset the standard for what you should demand from your actors and actresses.
So I'm assuming by that description, you haven't watched Bahubali 1 and 2 then.
I haven't. Like, I know that Copa mentioned it to me.
Trust me, I am not judging any of you. It's you in chat. I'm not judging you, because these are 3-hour commitments with subtitles. Yeah. I get it. But if you want to understand the director's progression, you go back to his first two films before that, and you can see this progression of his skills. And you also see his strategy is to incorporate the singing and the dancing in a way that blends so well into the show, into the film. Whereas other Indian films, especially Bollywood films, they will stop the show and have musical sequences. They will put the lead actor. I know people love Pushpa, and I'm sorry, especially like if Culture Casino is here because he loves Pushpa. I'm like, I can't handle that the main character is with his boys in the audience, and next thing you know, it's a musical sequence and he's on stage. I'm like, what is happening in this film? Like, I couldn't go there. SS Rajamouli finds ways to incorporate them into like a wedding scene and a party scene and this kind. He makes it make sense, right? But yeah, you end up down a rabbit's hole and you see things that are like, holy cow, Hollywood has been lagging for a very long time. Because other than because the only actor to me that comes to the level of like that next level is probably Hugh Jackman with Zac Efron, I guess, because I did see like in Greatest Showman and some other stuff, like it's there. It may not be given opportunities to come out, like you said. There's not enough roles where they try to put things in there. And I will say that culture has just evolved where I don't know that people respect it or enjoy it the same way, which is really a shame. It really, really is.
So I mean, that's kind of the thing that I was trying to figure out too. Was when In the Heights came out, I just heard everyone that it really wasn't marketed, and then everyone said it was woke trash. Some people were saying, people were saying, well, hey, there aren't any Afro Latinos in it or whatnot. And then the last thing I heard about was The Rock trying to promote it. So I actually gave it a chance. It was actually really good. Like Lin-Manuel Miranda, I actually like his versions of musicals. Hamilton notwithstanding, that'd be too much for me. I can't do rap with my history facts because it would be too confusing. But
I couldn't do it.
In the Heights,
I couldn't handle changing Hamilton that much. I can't give it a chance. I just can't do it.
But I will give him, if his version of a musical would work. And so, for the actors that are actually in it, they can act, they can dance, and they can sing. And so
true.
It's like, well, hey, that's the characters that were in that movie. I can say, hey, that would work. Because I know that one of the lead actresses in that movie, she was the one that was cast as Batgirl. And so that's how I knew her when I heard the name. She was actually in the Heights. But In the Heights is actually good for making a musical for that vein. And so I know that me and AJ were talking about it, and they're trying to figure out what exactly the Russo brothers are going to do with Hercules, because they're doing the live action version, but they're trying to make it for the TikTok generation. I said it doesn't work because the Russo brothers with what is his name? What's his name? The British director, Guy Ritchie. Like, it's not going to work with the two of them together. I said, well, if you told me the Russo brothers and Lin-Manuel Miranda were trying to do it for the TikTok generation, it would make sense because he's actually got the pulse of the youth to actually be interested in history via Hamilton, regardless of how I feel about it. So, the people that he brings on can sing, dance, and act. And I said, hey, that's what we should be demanding more of in our stars.
Fair enough. Princess Leia Rose is here. Hey there, lady. So good to see you. Ironcast is jumping on that J.K. Simmons reference, pointed out that, yes, he is the voice of the yellow M&M, which, by the way, I called out Loki for doing the worst impression of the yellow M&M today. It was very subpar. He needs to do a way better job. Joker's throwing out some love because of the RRR. Yes, I kind of reversed the whole thing. Like, I'm telling you, it's good. I'm just, if I'm wrong, y'all people will call me out. And Chris Berger is talking about the M&M shenanigans that have definitely exploded. And it's just awful. It's just awful. Dean Crancett's here. Hey, brother. Oh, you're doing well, man. He's awesome, dude. Totally great. And oh man, Joker. Yeah, you're talking about OG.
Yeah,
Sammy D, man. Sammy D was the boss, man. It is the boss. I'm going to definitely spin my wheels into some 1950s stuff at some point. Get into some of that rap past that. That's good. So, Cannoli, yeah. Part 1, part 2. You got to take them together. Make sure you always communicate to people that they just watch one. My feeling on part 1, I was confused at times, and I thought it was kind of slow. The ending is amazing, and then part 2 is like the story. The meat is put on the bones, and you really get this whole epic put together, and you go, this guy that made this movie really knows what he's doing. And then when you see RRR, you're like, okay, he's leveling up. I can see the leveling up in his skill set. I see the leveling up in the CG departments. I see the leveling up in casting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ironcaster, I know. Who knew? I know. Zach is judging. It's okay. We love you, bro. Yeah, Jackman he's an OG stage performer. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. There are a lot of them are stage performers that you just don't. They don't. But I think what Ego you're saying is right. They're not given opportunities on Hollywood scale anymore. We don't do musicals like that. We do these. I call them like cliche musicals, like La La Land. I just can't enjoy. I just like it's so cheesy, cheeky. It's just like I just don't enjoy it. I don't know.
Yeah. And I can't do the live theater remakes of things like Beauty and the Beast or even A Christmas Story. As much as I love A Christmas Story, when they said they were doing the live version of that and even like the other musicals, it's too much. If that's going to happen, I'll rather go to the theater and watch it live instead of seeing it live on TV. It's too much, you know.
Zex is confirming the Bahubali thing. So for those of you that need the clarification on what that means is the main actor is playing basically a dad and a son. And that's the best way to say it. I just put in the back of your mind that you're going to have these characters and you're going to be like, I don't understand what's happening. Go, okay, wait a minute. One of them's related to the other one. And it gets explained and stuff, but there is a moment. I blame some of the language barrier. I blame, it just kind of doesn't quite click. And I will admit, it made me feel better when Zach and I had this very similar response to other of their movies where sometimes you get confused.
Yeah, you do.
Like they have another great part 1, part 2. If you haven't watched it, it's called KGF, and it's a part 1, part 2. Like you need to watch both pieces, but they have like these gang lords basically with these crews, and you get confused because everyone starts betraying everyone. It's not about. You start to, no one's wearing like Krypton blood outfits. I can't keep track of who's with which group. It was too complicated. I was constantly rewinding to try to figure out wait, I thought he was with this group, but because the betrayal gets so complicated, part 1, my response to part 1 was like, it's good, but it wasn't great. But once you put part 2, again, you put the meat on the bones, you come in, you complete your epic, but then they put a little stinger in there. They're going to have a third part. They were messing with me because I didn't even know there was a stinger. So I did a whole review and somebody went, we didn't talk about the credit scene. I'm like, there's a credit scene? I didn't even know. I'm like, Indian people didn't do credit scenes. That's true. I didn't know. Okay. So let's talk about another film that you and I have been out pounding the sidewalk, giving love and praise for. I know AJ turned you on to it, and that would be Del Toro's Pinocchio is a home run.
Oh my god!
Like I can't believe, like I've been blown away. So talk about what is your reaction when you're watching this? Because AJ will prop up all sorts of animation. Like he throws more at me than I could even handle. But yeah, so when he starts plugging something like Pinocchio, I was like, oh, cool.
It was weird because that's the guy that doesn't like anything, and so he's like, I really like Pinocchio, and I was like, I mean, I guess like I really don't care about this little wooden doll. And then I heard what Disney did to the live action of theirs. Like I don't know if I want to go through that again, and so I did research on it months ago, and I'm it's like, well, hey, there's the straight up Italian version. There's the lady with the blue hair. Literally, she just has blue hair. She's not anything other than that. It's not like Pinocchio is really childlike. He's kind of impish and very impulsive and wants to get his own way. So I said, I guess I will say I called AJ within 10 minutes and told him how mad I was at him. He was generally concerned. He's like, well, what'd I do? I said, you didn't tell me you was going to hit me this hard in 10 minutes, sir. I wasn't expecting all this to happen. I heard about Geppetto having a son. I didn't know they were going to put him in this one. And now you're telling me within the first 10 minutes, I have to deal with everything that winds up happening to Geppetto within 10 minutes. Why would you do this to me on a Friday? My wife and I are trying to relax, and then you hit me with this historical drama.
If you haven't seen the most recent episode of their Saturday show, which is Heroes No Capes, he admits that he was crying. He was crying. Now, AJ didn't know he was crying, but he was crying. And it does. This movie doesn't waste any time of grabbing hold of your heart and making you a little wussy boy. It's so intensely good. It's so good. It is.
I mean, they're very. For people that didn't watch the stream on Saturday, I said it was a lot like as an adult watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. You're thinking, what am I gonna gain from watching a cartoon or something that's not obviously in the styling of real life or live action? But you're like, well, hey, it's historical because they cover World War I, which I'd completely forgotten about until I heard the planes flying over Italy. And I was like, oh my God, it's World War I. It is. So you learn about family and also friends being the family that you choose. There's grief. There's responsibility. There's how you'd react as a father if you had a child early in life as opposed to late in life. There's consequences, survivor's remorse, your duty to your country as opposed to your duty to being true to yourself. It just hit you with multiple aspects of life that
tragedy of war, facing, looking death in the face, dealing with mortality,
yes,
dealing with just massive amounts of, and you said grief, but grief really doesn't even cut it because it's really about
no,
loss in like
yeah,
multiple ways and multiple perspectives. The fact that Pinocchio is not in the top 10 best pictures is so criminal.
that's awful.
I cannot, I don't understand. I watched, so for those of you who don't know, there's this film called Triangle of Sadness. And like out of the blue, Triangle of Sadness got a best picture and a best director nod.
No.
And I suffered through this film today. And I get it. I get it. It's a dark black comedy that will appeal to their sensibilities.
Right.
I'll record a review.
Okay.
But it would not be a film that I'm watching again. I can't. Yeah. I would never. This movie plods along, and I get it. Like because comedy is dead, right? Can we all agree comedy is dead? R.I.P. Hashtag R.I.P. comedy. Yeah. Comedy is now like things that we do or say that are at the expense of others. That's a gag, right?
So Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was talking to Justin Ice about that too, because he was saying, it used to be we had our own version of comedy to where you would laugh with the comedian, and now it's just you getting berated by the comedy, and you're supposed to find it funny. It's like, well, who's going to sit there and who's going to sit there and be made fun of or talked about for an hour and a half, 2 hours? Why would I do this when I can watch something that's going to be either uplifting like we're talking about or actually funny for the sake of being funny? So yeah, you're right. R.I.P. comedy.
It is. It's completely been dead. And my wife is actually one that kind of got me down this rabbit hole of the thought process, because on my Vudu account, which is where I have most of my digital stuff. So if we're going to watch something digitally, and I'll sort, and I would sort comedy, I'd filter comedy, and there'd be all sorts of things in there that are not comedy. I'm like, what is happening? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I recently just did the review of A Man Called Otto. Obviously this Triangle of Sadness. And there's comedy is the label, and I'm like,
that's not comedy.
What is the comedy? There are no gags. The comedy is at someone else's expense, or I'm doing something and I'm pointing to you. It's like you said, the audience member is the butt of the joke. And it's like, at what point do you become frustrated where I don't need this? And Pinocchio made an animated kids movie, but it's for adults. It's so next level. I don't even know what to say. Like, this movie, I don't even know how far back I'd have to go to best animated film of all time. Like, this is so good. It's on that scale of like, I know AJ's going to hate me, but Beauty and the Beast is his almost perfect film. Like, it's just, when it came out, I was like, did I watch a cartoon? Like, I remember watching this and was like, did I watch a cartoon? This is, holy crap, I watched a fairy tale come to life on screen. I didn't even think this was possible. So yeah, there's a handful of these things that are so elite and special. And Pinocchio somehow skipped the line and snuck in. And it seems like most of the world hasn't noticed because it's on Netflix, I guess. No one wants to give Netflix credit. I don't know.
It blew me away. I would say, for me, it's like, oh, hey, perfect animated movies. Number 1's Little Mermaid, 2 is Beauty and the Beast, and like 3 is gonna have to be. I have to throw Pinocchio in there, even though it's technically not animated. But I mean, you can watch that with your son or daughter, at least at the age of maybe 7, 8, or 9, and they kind of understand those aspects of things, which is very hard to get within a generation gap to merge the children with the adult, and so both of us can watch it, both of us can kind of understand what's going on. And you explain these really high concepts that even adults can have trouble grasping through the mind of a child. And I like the fact that they made it so where he's still a real boy. You know what I mean? Even though it's still Pinocchio. I like that concept of things. It's like, hey, even if I gave you mortality, what would you do with it? And again, the theme is kind of death, grief, and loss on there, and so they make it a recurring theme. I was just surprised that he did the salute so many times and no one said anything about it. I was like,
there are so many things that he did that were so based. I felt like, is he trying to tick them off, and that was why they don't like it? I feel like he was like, even the inclusion of Mussolini and the way it was handled, I felt
Yes.
like it was his way of thumbing his nose at people who liken this belief system. And I
Yes.
was like, man, this is deep,
Well,
deep.
well, I was gonna say, well, I mean, technically, he told you what a joke propaganda is. So I thought you would get on that hype train. It's like, well, hey,
Mhm.
this is what propaganda does to you. It's like, well, hey, this kid's playing soldier. Meanwhile, people are actually going out getting killed, and then you're
Mhm.
trying to make fun of Mussolini too. So I thought it would kind of work with that crowd. I saying, well, hey, this is actually, historically accurate. I feel bad because Mussolini is like an inch taller than I am, and they made him so short. I was so mad. I was like, give my man at least look as of average height. Let it give
No, he's
me
definitely a
5
caricature.
seconds.
Like I
Yeah,
definitely got that they play up the
yeah,
caricature part, but they
I
made
got it.
him.
Yeah,
It was kind of like what All Quiet on the Western Front's going for, right? It's like
okay,
showing you the horrors of war
right.
and the leaders that are sort of like, we'll make these decisions with complete disregard for life,
Other
and
people, right?
it was handled in it,
Yes,
and we do call it animated because you are bringing the inanimate to life.
to
It's
life.
through stop motion versus like
Yeah,
drawings and cells and things like that.
right.
So
Yeah.
we're going to backtrack a minute to Joker brought up a great point, hoping the musical aspects of the new Joker film are akin to like $1 Million Mermaid or Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. I don't know what to expect. I'm hoping if I had to write it in
Hmm.
Joker, they locked me in a room, you have to write it as a musical. It would be more like their mental illness is manifesting as musicals. So it's
Yes,
Harley Quinn and Joker's their mental illness and their love for each other, like mad love. It's like that kind of stuff is
I
manifesting
see that.
through songs and things like that. The whole film is not a musical, but there will be a lot of musical
Elements.
because they're insane individuals. So you have a
I
killing
mean,
spree. They're going to sing and dance about it. And I got to be
I,
honest, that's on brand. They could pull it off. So we'll see.
have you seen? Do you watch The Boys?
I've
Have
watched
you?
season 1 of The Boys. I have not gone past.
Okay,
Well, that's not true. Season 2 was when they went Yahtzee, right? Season
it
2
was
had
weird.
Yahtzee stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, it
I
was
was kind of
weird.
in and out on 2. I don't remember much of 2. I was like, you're
So
really losing me. Like it got scattered or something. I don't know.
there is a scene with the female with
Hmm.
when she's with the Frenchman, and so she can't tell him how she feels, so she plays this song, and then in her mind they they dance to the song while she's
Mm.
trying to get out the words because she can't speak, and then you're like, what's going on? They just jump into it, and then the music stops, and she just looks up, and he says everything okay, and she's like, she just nods, and you're like, okay, I can see how
Mm.
you would do it if you're doing it in that vein. It's just,
Right.
I don't know. I don't. It's gonna be weird
It's
to me
definitely going to
watching
be
it, I
one of
guess.
the most interesting projects to see what actually manifests. And I do love
Yeah.
that. I got to be honest. I have so little respect for Hollywood that if I have people, whether I approve of the concept or not, that are willing to take such a radical risk, good
Yeah.
on them. You've
Yeah.
got some cojones to do and
Well,
try.
well,
So
then I have a question then. So to
okay.
you, I'm watching the Joker, and I know to me that's not definitive Joker. That's more like Taxi Cab Driver, Robert De Niro. Did you get that vibe to
Oh,
you, or is it
absolutely. King of
okay?
Comedy and
That's what I
Taxi
thought.
Cab. Yeah, it's Taxi
Okay,
Driver and King of Comedy, 100%.
okay. That
Which
maybe a
which
little bit
would have been
falling
the
down
elevator
towards the
pitch.
end.
The elevator
Yeah,
pitch was, I want to do a standalone Joker movie. Like, oh, we're not doing that, but I can't see. No, no, no.
right.
I want to do Taxi Driver and King of Comedy.
Okay,
And
that's
that's his
okay.
elevator pitch, and that's what got
Got
the script done, and he got it through,
it.
and he went and got like a super class level actor to buy into it, and it's
Got it.
performance driven and dialogue driven,
That's okay.
and we don't spoon feed. We treat people like adults to figure it out, and it turned out to be a great film, and it
Oh,
moved
and that's
people.
why I was like, yeah, I was like, hey, this is I'm watching a movie that's not the Joker, but I'm watching a man's descent into madness. That's
Yeah.
fine. If I looked at it from that angle, I said, oh, hey, it's actually a pretty good movie.
And I don't mind. And I said all along, and maybe hot take if you guys want. I said I am totally okay with this being proto Joker, like what Gotham tried to do with the idea of like a Joker that inspired another Joker kind of thing or something like that. I am totally okay. This is proto Joker. It's not really Joker. It's the guy that inspires the Joker who becomes the Joker. Or I can totally get the mental illness transference, lack of a better term, of something like that, right? Someone who's like, they're ill and they're looking for solutions in their own life, and they're in a mental hospital, and maybe they see this person as inspirational, and they're doing what I want to do. I don't know. There's tons of options that you can kind of hammer out.
Then
Yeah,
did you ever get to read Three Jokers yet?
I did, and I
Okay.
really
Okay.
am kind of probably in a small community that really liked it, and it was because
I
I'm
liked it
totally.
too.
There's a
It
lot of
made
us to
so much
do, and
sense.
there's a lot of hate that people have a lot of hate for it because it just kind of messes up a lot of canon and stuff. And I got to be honest, though, the nostalgia was so good that I was all in. I was like, this is freaking great, man. I'm loving the different versions. And I kind of saw the shots coming. Like I kind of saw the twist coming. Like I could kind of figure out
Yeah.
where you're going,
Yeah.
but it still delivered for me. I had a great time with it. I really did.
I mean, honestly, for me, it's like, well, if Barbara wasn't with Dick Grayson, she wouldn't be with Bruce. She'd be with Jason, because even in
And
like
it made sense.
their attraction in grief makes so much sense, because it's like, well, hey, the link we have, the guy that changed both of our lives, I'm gonna get my version of that Joker, and it would make for a great moral dilemma for Barbara. Dick Grayson's always gonna do the right thing regardless, and you always feel like Batman's one more tragedy away from snapping out and killing the Joker. But with Barbara and Jason Todd, their dialogue to me was the best part of it, and would just explain the fact that this is why Batman can never figure out who he is, because he keeps being someone different. So I don't know how, if they're gonna do a part 2. I'd rather it be close ended on that end, but I actually enjoyed
Jeff
it.
Johns can't leave stuff alone though. So yeah, he's addicted to his own resume, I think. Ironcaster, my brother, I tell you what, he is doing these great episodic reviews of Kamen Rider right now, standalone superhero series over on Tubi as well. Good stuff, man. I'm watching the retro one. I'm watching the 1970s one. He's got me into like watching some of this stuff. He's taking me down between him and being on with Brandon, the anime guy. I'm revisiting like Battle of the Planets and Star Blazers from Little Pops era, man. Baby Pops, man. I'm having a good time. Punk Waddle's in the house. Holy crap. Hey, man. How you been?
Hey.
Good to have you on with me. That's awesome. Let's see. Mask of Phantasm. Oh yeah, I mean it's a goat. It's a goat.
I'll say for a superhero animated movie, it's a different category. I wasn't including that, but it'd be up there.
It's a different kind of. Yeah, I don't want to compare that to the features it's just a different thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm torn, Joker, because you're calling me out, but I will say I have to be intellectually honest to like film structure. Beauty and the Beast is probably, but this is next level. Pinocchio is next level. So, Joker says he's not insane. He's misunderstood. Sorry, I don't believe you. Just so you know. Let me see. Tubi is a lot of what Netflix was. Yeah, I agree. Tons of stuff. So. Yeah, Jason Todd brings back Murray Joker's stuff, having flashbacks. So, yes, yeah, Punk Wild, it's always great to have you, man. Always great to have you. So now we've covered a few things. Yeah, and I will say that Ironcaster is another one of these totally underrated creators, especially because when you're juggling real life and he has to be on with Tuesday nights with me, it takes up a lot of his time. But yeah, his recommendations are spot on, man. He got me onto the Ultron animated show on Netflix. I thought it was great. I had such a good time with that show. I love it. I was like, I should rewatch it to do videos because I just had a good time. And it's about finding something good, like not getting totally down the rabbit's hole and consumed by the darkness, if you will. Like just so much. So let's see. We covered most of the major list items and those kinds of things. Is there something else that jumps out at you, or like I'm actually really enjoying this or really enjoying that?
I mean, it's more so. I mean, because I read comics now, I think they'd be so more on the comic book angle of things. The two that I actually read, my wife's, I finally got her to read comic books, but it has to be in the vein of like vampires and witches. So I actually, she got me to read something called Redneck. It's like 5 volumes. I'm praying for the 6th to come out. It's basically about vampires in Texas. And see, 2 things you would never seem to think would work, and you're watching it, and they tell you how they wound up getting to Texas, who their familiars are, and the beef with the townspeople that they have. It actually goes back to the very, very first vampire, and it has something to do with Jesus. And you're like, wow, I didn't know that I was going to find that out in the 4th or 5th volume. But you're like, okay, they made it work. I didn't mean to be sacrilege, but they
no,
give
listen,
you,
I'm not one of those that takes a lot of. I mean, there's a difference between like having that and then like being blasphemous or like being like
Oh, no, no.
mean or anti. Like I really just get honked off when things do that, and that is
Okay.
so. It's so commonplace now that I get
Mhm.
angry because I'm like, you guys don't think you're actually clever, do you? Like I just
No,
get like that's what bothers me more. It's like it's almost like you guys don't think you're actually. It's almost like the woke stuff. It's like you
yeah.
guys actually don't think you're being creative at this point now. Like everyone has done it. Like you're so late to the game. Stop pretending. So it's called Redneck, right?
Yeah, it's Redneck, and for Joker, it's not the Judas is the first vampire myth. It's not even Judas at all. It's someone that's technically in the Bible, and they make it a temptation thing that he falls prey to, and that's what makes him the first vampire. But they don't tell you until 4 or 5 volumes in who that is, and basically they're like, "Yo, this is the guy before Vlad the Impaler's Dracula." And so it winds up going the further into the book you go, the further back the flashbacks go. And so it actually gets very deep to a point where you're starting to read it. And so when they got to volume 5, they teased this huge thing that's about to happen. And that was like 8 months to a year ago. I cannot for the life of me figure out
Okay.
when volume 6 is dropping. The
All right.
other one is actually more family oriented.
Well, wait before we leave
Sure.
vampires, because he tries
Yeah.
to call it shots there, saying 30 Days a Night's the best vampire movie. I don't think I've really given thought to vampire movies and trying to line them up, but I will correct you when you talked about Texas and vampires. The John Carpenter movie called Vampires has sort of like that, deserty scenes and things like that. That was one of the best elements of the movie was like the feel and the I know it's such a nerdy word to use. The texture of the film felt really interesting, and while I have a ton of problems with that film, that was not one of them. Like the way it was shot and some of this, that I thought that was actually pretty good. So, no, I'm good with that. I look, Joker. I don't know. I don't have a vampire thing going. It's Lilith vampire origin myth. Cause I really like the Lost Boys. I really like Bram Stoker's The Dracula with Gary Oldman. I just can't stand Keanu Reeves in that movie, but I really love I love Gary Oldman. But I'm also like literally, I'm like the OOG, right? So it's like for me, the Universal classic monster stuff for me is just so special, like Lugosi and Karloff, Frankenstein, and the Mummy, and just this stuff was just. We'd go to Universal Studios here in Florida, and I'd be like, can I just be left? Because I would just leave the group. They'd go do some show again or something I don't want to do. And I just be like, where I'll be. And I'm in like the Monster Cafe. The Monster Cafe would have real props. Universal did not play. They had like actual scripts on the wall, actual masks on the wall, full-size mannequins with the props. I mean, they went all out for that cafe. For them to remove that cafe, it broke my heart. Because I guess the cafe's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted more. I would wish more, at least monster movies stuck with traditional prosthetics instead of using like the CGI. We can get into it. We don't have a problem. Just
American
go ahead
Werewolf
and just
in London, baby. American Werewolf in London. It was a mixture of the techniques, and it was pulled off perfectly. And they just needed. I don't understand. I really don't. I just don't understand. I really don't. I can't. I can't get there.
I will say my favorite vampire movie that it's rather recent because number 1 would probably be for me Interview with the Vampire, but number 2 would be Daybreakers. I don't know if you ever saw that with Ethan Hawke. Basically, they're like, hey, we're vampires, we rule the world. Everyone's a vampire. Our cup of coffee is a mug of blood. And essentially, they're like, well, what happens when there's no blood left? And like that's the concept. But yeah, it was a few years ago with Ethan Hawke called Daybreakers. It was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it for what that was.
Thank you, Joker. I knew you had love for me there, bro. I think I need to do a series on some of those old. I own all of those box sets. Like it's just it takes up so much space because they didn't really. The copies I have are the old ones, so there's like the boxes are all like this thick, and I'm like, they take up. The new DVD version, that box is about that big.
Did you watch it? Was it the Monster Squad at one point? Did they ever do that?
I just rewatched Monster Squad. That's almost like a kid's comedy kind of twist on it. But there was a TV show when I was a kid. Right. And that was like a big deal for me. I thought I had a board game. I finally sold it. Someone finally offered me like a pretty nice profit. And because I had
Totally.
the board game was literally just a board, and then they had like little wooden round tokens. There was no like tokens, it was just little round, and that was the game. It was so cheap and cheesy, but it was the Monster Squad game. And I had this, people would always ask me like, what is that? Because you would see the monster, from afar, it's just a green box with Frankenstein, Dracula, and werewolf on it. People are like, what are you oh, it's Monster Squad. I always treat it like, of course you know what Monster Squad is, and people look at you like, no. I got nothing. I'm like, well,
no, I was gonna ask. I mean, because I remember Universal was trying to make their version of the Avengers and I was like, if you ever did a video comparing and contrasting, because I don't know if you ever saw them and tried to figure out what they were going to do. I don't know how you felt about them trying to redo it. And I was trying to figure out, well, hey, someone that knows the original version and saw what they were trying to do, like, what were your thoughts on it? Even if you make a video for it, I was like, I'd want to hear about it. Because I was like,
I'd have to get someone like Joker, who also is probably very versed in those films too, where they're conceptually, like, The Mummy wasn't bad for like the first probably 40 minutes or so, and then it become like a stupid chase movie. And then just a ridiculous Tom Cruise action film at the end. But the first part where it was actually trying to be scary and she was like all weird and unorthodox, that was actually not bad at all. I liked all that. It. So there were elements that were fine, and we didn't even scratch the surface of what they were doing with Russell Crowe as like Hyde. Like, I think that we had a great actor and we could have really kind of done some interesting things there. They had Johnny Depp under contract to do Invisible Man, which I think Johnny Depp can pull off just about anything. So there were elements to the dark universe. The problem is the creative teams. I believe that's Kurtzman, and they're just incompetent humans. They're just terrible people. Like they're just. I mean, let's just be honest. I'm not high on any of these people right now. Like there's so few of them. And you know what the thing is, Ego, is they don't have the love and the care. They just don't. They don't have the love and the care. Like when you watch Offer, because even if the missus is not going to like it, because it's a heavy-handed drama, it's about film nerd. It's film nerdism, right? Like the making of Godfather. It's film nerdism, right? Yeah. You can tell the people who made the show loved it. You know what I mean? There's a love. Look, are there creative liberties? Yes. But they went and found people who look like Francis Ford Coppola. Like Miles Teller did some work to become Al Ruddy. Like they did some work. They did some work to pull off the Brando scene. They didn't play around. They did not this wasn't like people who are not really invested in the love of what they were trying to communicate. And it comes through. Sylvester Stallone loved the concept of finally playing a mafia boss. Like he's done how many films? He's done all of this stuff, and you feel like someone sold him on, hey, by the way, you've never done this. Have you ever thought about it? There's this kid. I don't know if you've ever seen Yellowstone, and he's probably like, I don't have time to watch nothing. And he probably read that script and went, I could do that. Yeah, I can do that. And it shows. Yeah, me, I can do that. Nah. He isn't Rocky too often. There's a couple of scenes and shots in Tulsa King where you can see he's in his natural state, like whatever. But
the pep squad, the pep talk he gives them at the bar. I was like, okay, I was like, yo, you better get an Emmy, sir. You need. I know they snubbed you on the Oscar, but you need an Emmy.
Yeah, he's so good. Dracula and Toad was decent. There were some good moments in that too, and again, I'd have to rewatch that because I think my response on that one was I wish I could edit it. I think my response on that was I wish I could have a shot. It's kind of like for me, I don't hate the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I wish I had the time and the energy to do a fan edit and could fix them. They just don't need to be 2.5 hour long films. They don't. There's enough stuff there to work with. It just becomes a mess. Like they just gets away from them. And that's where a lot of stuff is. So instead of having Mr. Hyde being Nick Fury of the Monsterverse, it should have been Van Helsing. Well, no, I think that Hyde would have been trying to be a Nick Fury, and then they bring in Van Helsing. I think that's what they do. And if I were writing it all, Van Helsing's the villain, right? Because you're writing it from the monsters' perspectives, right? You bring in all this other stuff, but the big twist of it all is the monsters are who we should want to win. We should all want the monsters. We want the monsters to carry on, even though they're not going to. They'll make it contained. They're never going to get killed. I would never want my monsters to get killed. They have to carry on. There has to be another chance for a son of Dracula. There has to be another, we can't have Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein for flow of a Pete if we all spend we're going to kill them all. We have to have, by the way, that is my OG. You talk about what you want to have mindless fun.
Mm-hmm.
I put in my Abbott and Costello, and I just
Costello.
Makes it Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein with the actual guys playing. I mean, the fact that they got Karloff and Lon Chaney Jr., it blows my mind. They were able to pull. We could never do that today. We can never get this stuff done today. So, Joker has to bail. I'm gonna record. Oh, listen, do your thing, man. Let's do it. Let's do it. So, thank you, bro. Yeah, love you, brother. Take care. Keep talking. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, that's good. No, I wrote it down. I did not get to a chance to track down Redneck in that short notice, but I did write it down.
That's fine.
I'm knee deep in the Spawn universe. Have you heard how good this is?
Everyone, I mean, they were trying to get me on Gunslinger Spawn, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I got it saved and it's in my wish list. And I know I probably might get it in the next week or two. So, I mean, they're telling me it might be a good place to start. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I just did my video on King Spawn. So I'll probably drop that. I drop my comic book stuff now on Wednesdays, comic book days.
Nice.
Right?
Okay.
So, King Spawn first off, there's something called Spawn Universe #1. Okay. And then I would read King Spawn #1 and then Gunslinger. Because what they did with the #1 issues is they had like little backup stories. Mm-hmm. And in the backup story and it's very small. Like if you were to read them out of order, it's not the end of the world, but it does help. Like it just helps. And here's the thing. If you like art, I know you do, you're going to love them.
All right, so wait, so it's which one? King Spawn, then Gunslinger Spawn?
Spawn Universe #1.
Okay.
Then King Spawn #1. Okay. Then Gunslinger #1.
Got it. Okay.
I'm only a few issues. I've only did a video on issues 1 through 3 of Gunslinger, and I actually just did an issue on just issue #1 of King Spawn because the book is so dense. Holy crap! I could have showed every single page of the art. There are so many scenes where he tries to do something different, which is what is so refreshing. I feel like I'm in the 1990s. I'm like, this is so. I know why everyone's praising the book. So I'm down the Spawn rabbit hole. Oh man, Joker left. I wish I'd shown it because I wanted to get Joker stuff because he loves Spawn. Talk about a bro that is. So I made this so I would have, because I like to have things that match what I'm talking about sometimes. I didn't have anything Spawn, so I made this. Now we'll know if it gets copyright flagged. So if you're watching this at home and there's a segment that comes out that's suddenly gone, blame YouTube because I haven't tested it. I haven't given it a test. Now, here you go.
That's cool.
That's my little Spawn intro.
That's cool.
I stole from the HBO Spawn, which is Chef's Kiss. Wonderful, by the way. HBO's animated Spawn is just wonderful. But now I'm enjoying Spawn. I'm only a few issues. I mean, again, they're way further ahead of me. Like I think Gunslinger is on like issue 17 or something. I'm on like 3. I'm past. I did a review up to 3. I'm past that now, but remind me, and I also will send you a link to something that might be helpful. So
I'll take it. Yeah, that works. I guess the only other comic that I was reading that isn't DC or Marvel related, I actually finished it maybe about 6 to 8 months ago. I don't know if you ever heard of Birthright.
No, I had not heard of it. Again, this is an Image Comics thing, so I didn't really have access to
that's fine.
any of their digital platforms or anything like that. I really, until I started doing pops, I really hadn't been over to their website in like forever. All of their issue #1s for free, by the way, guys. There's a whole if you go to Image Comics, there's a little button that says read their first issues. That is a brilliant strategy, by the way, especially whenever things are so art driven. For some of these, but I will say Todd's really running a smart thing because if you're going to have the woke artsy crap, then you just put it out the same way you do everything else. You just let it stand. If there's an audience for it and they want it, fine, I got it for you. But I'm not putting it in Spawn. Basically, that's what he would do. What he should do. He's just it's not going to be in Spawn, which is not anything I've read yet. Nothing is woke.
Okay,
no,
I'll get that.
It is. It is graphic. It is freaking amazing. Like it is.
I'll take it.
It's 90s hardcore, man. And I love the religious allegories that are in there too. It's really he doesn't shy away. And I don't think I've really been offended. I think it's just more like, oh, that's interesting. So tell me about Birthright. What do you like about Birthright?
Oh, so Birthright is actually, it's almost like a family friendly adventure. It's really strange. I didn't know if I was gonna like it, but my best friend accepted her. He's got kids, and so he's telling me about this story. It's like, hey, it's about this this family. It's a mom and dad and an older brother and a younger brother. And so the dad is taking the younger brother out to go play catch in the fields because they're the mom and his older brother are actually setting up his birthday gifts, like setting up the party. And so dad throws a ball, and his son's name is Mikey. Mikey runs in the forest and does not come back. And so they get the police, the FBI. It's a local news story for over a year. Mom and dad get divorced. Oldest brother is fighting kids because they think that his dad did it. Dad starts drinking. Mom's moved on. Out of nowhere, they wind up, local police pick up this man that's got a battle axe, swords, maps, and books, and they sit him down. He's tatted up. Basically, he goes from looking like just your little innocent 7-year-old to Jason Momoa. And they're like, yo, what is your name? He's like, my name's Mikey. They're like, no, you're not. Mikey is missing. He should be 7, not 25. And so they do the fingerprinting and they show the parents. The dad's like, that's my son. The mom's like, that is not my son. And the brother doesn't know what to believe. And so you go and figure out, you're like, where have you been? What's going on? Are you really Mikey? Are you not Mikey? It's 10 volumes, but they're all
right. Well, I don't want to get too many spoilers because I trust. I'm going to trust your judgment. So I'm a litmus test guy, right? So I take your recommendations, and you can kind of figure out where I agree and disagree, because that's how it is, guys. Everyone's got their own voice and their own things, right? So I don't believe in shaming people, especially if you can kind of defend it. Like, if people like, I hate the menu, and you tell me why you hate the menu. I'm like, okay, well, I like the menu because of this. I think you're wrong. That's the conversation nerds and fans have, by the way, a healthy conversation. And you eventually gravitate towards people for certain things. You gravitate to people for recommendations. You gravitate towards someone like Az because you want to see him lose his mind over something that he's hate watched. You want to see an old guy like me completely freaking out over every episode of Kenobi because it's destroying everything I loved as a child. Like this is what you do. This is what you do. So I have Birthright written down. I will say this. I love the premise because it seems unique enough and interesting enough. And if I also knew it was family friendly, I probably would have already been on it, to be honest. Like, I really love things that don't. Okay, look, I know, guys, you might think they might think I'm a prude ego, but I just think it's cheap. I got to be honest. Like, profanity and nudity and sex and stuff, like, it's just cheap. When I go back and I watch like these classic films of like the 50s, and they're so sexy and classy and yet clean and what, I'm like, we didn't need it, and a lot of just not necessary. Like, look, I don't like, I will never see that movie. Okay, well, okay, no, I don't really get that way, but every now and again, I'm like, why is this here? Like, I really have a hard time with movie. Like, okay, the movie Plane is out right now. Okay, shoot 'em up action. Feels like a 90s film. It's fun.
Okay.
Don't know why we made it rated R. We really didn't need to have. We really could make a whole lot more money with a film like that by making it PG-13. One F-bomb, maybe not quite as much blood splatter, and we would have made 10, 15. I don't know how much more millions of dollars you make, because then at least the people that won't go see rated R's will let their kids go, or whatever the case may be. Because it's really it doesn't change the film. It's not like this dramatic thing that needs to be rated R, which by the way, they don't want to do, because when they do Blade, it'll be a PG-13. Complete waste of my time.
Not watching that movie. No, thank you. I'm okay with things being, certain things can be implied, and that's fine. In the 90s, at least when I was watching some of the shows, it's like, if a man are in a room and it's at night, you kiss, you fall down, that's it. You just go to the next morning. You're like, oh, okay. You don't have to tell me what happens in between. Like,
Top Gun Maverick did it. Top Gun Maverick. Wait till you see Bahubali. Holy crap. You talk about knock your socks off. They have a sexy musical dance scene, and he's undressing her during the scene, and you're just like, what am I watching? And it was so It was so good. I was like, it was possibly one of the best things I've seen like that. And I don't know how. I mean, it was incredible. Like it was incredible. No, they have a completely different approach there. There's no nudity in their films. Like there's zero. Like there's actually one of them called Drishem.
Okay.
And there's a whole setup of them like cleaning up, and you don't really know what's happening, and then you realize, because they're completely clothed, by the way, like they have all their clothes on there, like their pajamas are these full, like to us they look like they're going to go out somewhere, right? And they both lie down on this bed, like they kind of lay down, and then the next morning there's a couple jokes at the dad's expense about how tired he is, right? So that's like the gag, like, oh yeah, but it's like it's done with a lot of like dignity and respect. It's not done as though they don't do this. It's just this is how they handle it. And it seems like today we've just allowed like a cheap thing to fill space. Like it just fills time and space, and I just don't. I just
not necessary. Yeah.
Now there's a place for it. Like I said, Blade, like doing doing a non-rated R Blade makes no sense to me. Like I don't like Spawn. Spawn, how could Spawn not be rated R? Like it's not going to be Spawn if it's not rated R. Like it's a complete waste of my time. It's like dumb.
Definitely.
So what else is in your good category? You got anything else that you can think of?
Oh, what else do I have? I got good, I had evil, I like there. Man, that's kind of, I mean, you know what? Yellowstone. I forgot. TV Yellowstone. I
know I gotta watch it. I gotta get
so
there.
you and AJ.
I know. And it's not because you know what the problem is. I missed it when it first started, and by the time I kind of even heard how good it was, I was thinking like it was either on season 2 or 3, and I'm like, oh my god, it's such a big commitment. Cobra Kai. I haven't even finished Cobra Kai. I'm only like on season 3. Well, I got distracted doing other stuff, and next thing you know, and I'm like, it's so much that it's hard to catch up, and you know, and then doing this, you're trying, and for me, I cheat, right? Because I'm trying to do the things I want to do and like doing, and then trying to also stay relevant enough that the channel can at least have a healthy growth. Like I'm not delusional. I'm not chasing hits and views or whatever. So like I'm going to do a video on, they're going to make another Tron movie. Oh God, shoot me in the heart. Just shoot me in the chest, right? So I'll do a video on that. But then I'm going to talk about, like I do every Saturday morning, talk about freaking animated X-Men and animated Batman cartoons. So it's not getting, I mean, what, 30 people might watch a video like that because they're not looking for it. Like, it's like I don't care.
I'm gonna. I hopefully, if when AJ watched it, we'll have to do a stream on it because for me, I try to double up on things. Like, what's something I can watch with Shira that she actually likes that we both enjoy that I can also talk about on the stream. And so, you know, when people kept telling me about Yellowstone, I was like, you know what? I don't want to see some old white people on horses in Montana. Like, what's that got to do with me?
I was like, I don't want to watch a Kevin Costner TV show. It's like a retirement show. I did not have any desire to watch this.
I thought that, and then I watched it, and I was like, oh my God, there's so much here. It's, you know, you're thinking about this family that's had this property for so long. It's like, well, who would want to invade on Montana? You're like, well, those yuppies from California, the Native Americans who actually might have a claim to it, the government, and you have all these machinations of how Kevin Costner keeps people off his land using his own kids. And you're just like, for an OG actor like Kevin Costner to still be bringing it, it really stunned me that I'm watching all of these veterans on this show. And you're seeing that everyone can hold their own scene by themselves. Like Kevin Costner's, the one that plays his daughter, is probably my favorite character. She does not play games. If there's a hostile taker, he'll say, yo, Beth, go handle it. And she wipes people out. So I think that for you, if as much as you like the that classical drama of characters, that's very dialogue driven, but there's going to be a payoff. It's like, hey, yo, don't mistake, I'm not doing anything now, but when I hit you, you're not going to notice it. And then you watch and you're like, oh my God. The fact that it's 5 seasons in gives you enough time to watch and digest the episodes, because I got so mad that now that we're caught up, I'm actually stuck having to wait until the second part of season 5 comes out. So I mean, I think
that's kind of like the mix. That's kind of the mixed feeling too. It's like if I get caught up, but now that I'm doing the channel, there is some benefit to being caught up, because then at least I could talk about the normal. But I had the same problem with Cobra Kai, because I was blasting through seasons, and I got to like 3. I think it's around 3 years. Anyway, it's like I don't know. I didn't like certain elements of things, and it's not that I don't like the show. I still like the show. It's just that the quantity. It's a quantity issue. So you talk about how many minutes times how many episodes. You're like I have other stuff to do, but no, it's at the top. Obviously it's floating to the top of the list of things because you are hardly alone with your Yellowstone love. Yeah, I'm definitely. I need to feel that. Maybe I don't know. I always say, well, when I start this, because when you have certain, what I can watch here when I'm in town and I have control of my time or whatever, versus what I can, like you said, with your wife, you want to spend time. But we just finished watching Community.
Really?
Oh boy! So the first 3 seasons of Community, is pretty fun ride. It's okay. Right? I had a good time. Right. And then what I didn't know of course, was all of this show drama that had actually unpacked and destroyed the show. Yeah. And then it gets canceled and then brought back with was it Yahoo brought it back or something? And it was, I think so, terrible. And just there's so many things. My wife and I can't tell you how many times season 5 we're sitting there what is happening? And why is any of this supposed to be funny? And then they would follow it up with a paintball episode. You're like, this is great. This is great. And then it'd go right back to some other crazy concept thing. And you're like, I don't understand what kind of crack the writer staff are on. So we just finished because she said, we have to get through. She's like a completist. She's like, if we're going to go, we're going to go through. And I suffered because I was ready to give up. I was done. When we got into season 4 or so. Yeah. They had the firing of Chevy Chase or whatever, and then it just wasn't ever the same. And I don't know. So we're kind of open to what we're going to do next. So maybe I could throw Yellowstone. I can sell her on Yellowstone. I don't know.
Is there a genre that she likes?
Comedies. She wants to have a comic. She wants to have a break. She wants to have to decompress and through a laugh.
Resident Alien. To be honest, it's going to be the comedy that you want, but it gets you some sci-fi in there, and it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. You're selling me on that. So Punk Waddle for 3 seasons. Community is a lot of fun, and actually a best of Community because you don't need to watch them really in a lot of order. If you were to say, I want to watch. I'm sure someone has a list of the paintball ones or whatever, and because it happens 3 or 4 times, it's part of each of the seasons is a running gag, and then they have different themed ones, like a Halloween one, and there are some episodes. There was a lot of good stuff done on that show, but they also the train does jump the tracks and just becomes a complete dumpster fire at times. Yeah. So we're going to be searching for something to watch and that kind of thing. But listen, folks, as we said when we started this mess I will hate watch the best of them. I will be more than happy to pile on. I watched 2 episodes of Velma. Most of these people that have been talking about Velma only watched 1, by the way. I watched both. And that show is insanely bad for your health. It's insanely. I actually said Mindy Kaling and all the people that have created this show, there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with wanting to insert yourself in a 70s cartoon, make it perverted and full of teenagers that are naked talking about sex.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Race swap. There's something wrong. And I don't mean this I don't no, there's something wrong. I've never met someone who goes, I wish.
Yeah.
But got to have a healthy diet. And we went through lists of Pinocchio, RRR, Tulsa King, The Offer, Resident Alien, couple comic books, right? Birthright, Redneck. I threw a few other things, my Love Us the Spawn stuff. I guess we could try to throw in there. I didn't even mention Wednesday. Did you watch Wednesday on Netflix?
I couldn't.
It's not bad.
It's not that. It's just Rawls Ruley is not alive. So for me, that was quintessential.
Oh no, I totally get you. Oh no, I'm an OG Addams Family. I'm an OG Addams Family. I have Pluto on my phone, and the only reason is because there's Addams Family channel. If I just needed to have I could just literally turn it on my phone and just hear the Addams Family playing with all the silly, stupid gags. I don't even need to see the screen. I just know, right? So there's no way when I saw the promotional stuff, I was going to like this show.
Nah, I mean, it's
and again,
well, the only,
It again. I had to take Joker. Joker had pressure. He had to strong arm me. It's like this tit for tat. You think this is good? All right. Well, you think, and it's Harry Potter and Stranger Things and
I couldn't
it's
get
just
into either one of those shows.
oh, okay.
I
Well, then
tried,
it's fine. It's not for you then. It's fine. So
Yeah.
I was just impressed with like her inner dialogue and stuff like that. I thought it was like Nancy Drew. That's the most important part of the equation is Nancy Drew because it is family friendly. And the woke stuff is just like it's the world they live in. It's not like we're going to lecture you at home. So they'll mention a patriarchy, but they're not going to go on a speech about the patriarchy. Things like that they do.
Right. That's fair.
I actually liked it. Again, I agree with you. If you're not into Stranger Things and that kind of stuff, because it is clearly made for teenagers, like our middle school, and it's clearly made for folks that are younger than us. But the Gomez Morticia episode 5 is the filler episode. Like it's the waste of our time episode that the studio, whoever bought it, made them make because it is totally again, that's a business conversation of how this crap works. So hey, Cody's here. Hey there, how you doing? What's going on? Good to see you. So anyway, listen, guys, everything will be in the description for Ego. Dude is criminally undersubbed. Great interviews, great conversations, co-hosting Heroes No Cape over with Abomination AJ. The man knows his stuff, has no problem holding back. Look at that. That's gold. Has no problem holding back. You're going to have geopolitical conversations. He's going to talk about all sorts. And no problem talking about sports. I mean, I had to find somebody to talk about sports with. Hey, this guy's got to come on show, talk about me with sports. We're going to talk sports ball for all of you nerds. We're going to talk sports ball February 9th because there's this thing called the Super Bowl. I know it used to be like just the Oscars, but that's dead to me. But now, make sure you connect to Ego. And it's been great being able to have a conversation. It's been great for all of you folks in chat. You're freaking amazing as always. This chat, you're just always awesome. Love you guys so much. And Ego, it's great to have you on. So, but with that, we'll send you out with some love. I love to make everybody smile, and I've lost track of where it is. There he is, my spirit animal, Bob Ross, and he's going to go out and tell you and make sure you make time to chill. Take care, folks.
I'm Ross. All I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem, I'll solve it, Bob Ross.